You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Andy Smith.
And I'm Tim Fulton.
And this is Fight Fan Weekly. This episode, we got a little topic that me and Tim were discussing the other day. We didn't agree on it.
Politely
Well,
and calmly discussing.
We had different views on it. I was trying to explain. Devil's advocate.
So McGregor versus Khabib could potentially be a thing if Tony Ferguson gets hurt. McGregor was announced as his replacement. He is going to be ready and primed, allegedly, in April.
Yeah, I believe April.
This is a 150-pound weight class, right?
155.
So he's going to have to cut 15 pounds between January and April.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
You're nothing.
Well,
All right. So
you're the one that's wrong. Go ahead.
So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that's what they do.
Yep.
I think the only reason why this is being more in the news is because it's Conor McGregor.
I agree.
They have this happen all the time because when they put big fights up, like we were saying the other day, when they have big fights, big pay-per-views, and especially since the pay-per-views are less frequent and they have these set up, they have to make sure that if the main event or it's a co-main event, whatever, doesn't go on, that they have a replacement to go there. A couple things have to come into play. And some of this is business-wise and other of it's, sports-wise. But number one, you have to get somebody that can compete at that level and who is at least in the realm of possibility for taking a fight. Okay. The other thing is you have to make sure that the person you're getting can and will be in shape and on weight for that fight.
Yeah.
So if a guy has a history of missing weight when he's already scheduled for a fight, you're not going to want to give him a fight on short notice because chances of him making weight are probably not as good. And also, too, you have to kind of have somebody whose name is big enough to where they
can still carry the card.
They can carry the card with no promotion and no build-up.
Yeah.
Because all the build-up all the videos have been shot, the Facebook, Instagram, social media promotions all been done, and this guy basically has to walk in with just his name and carry that card now. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take fan favorite fighters as the replacements who are game guys like Cowboys, I'm sure has been on call a bunch. Justin Gaethje, I'm sure has been on call a bunch. Guys that continually stay in shape and are not afraid to take fights on short notice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what do you think?
I agree with you for the most part. I think from a business standpoint, obviously this is something that they have to do.
Yeah.
It makes sense having a backup because God forbid someone backs out of a fight for one reason or another. They get hurt during training, whatever the case may be.
Which has happened 4 times with Tony versus Khabib. Knock on wood.
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, me too.
You don't want to see an entire card go to shit because one fighter got hurt.
No.
It also makes sense for all the reasons that you said. You have to have somebody who is going to be, able to have the same promotion level or at least close to it. Nothing's ever going to be one for one.
Yeah.
You're not always going to have, if McGregor got hurt tomorrow, you're never going to have the same fight of McGregor versus Cowboy that you're going to have with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they have a backup for that too, in case it happens. So you're probably right that the only reason this is getting attention is because it is McGregor and it's Khabib.
Yes.
So the history between the two is kind of like the fun subject here. Like, we might get a McGregor Khabib 2 way sooner than we thought it was going to be. My only asterisk was that McGregor hasn't even fought yet. He's been out, and I'm not knocking his history whatsoever.
Yeah.
I know he is absolutely a phenomenal MMA fighter, UFC competitor. He has made a name for himself, and rightfully so. But he's been out of the game for 3 years. He hasn't even fought his next fight yet. We don't know if he's going to win versus Cowboy or not.
Yeah.
We have an inkling, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen yet. I feel like they're skipping over other potential people that could deserve a shot But I don't know the background of it. Maybe they did ask a bunch of guys and a bunch of people said no. Maybe whatever. But I just feel like that it's kind of like you said, it's kind of, I don't want to call it cheap. I don't know how to exactly phrase it.
I definitely saw more your side of it when I thought about it, because it's like not a lot of people, not just you, but not a lot of people know or sit back and think about all the things that I mentioned in the beginning. Mm-hmm. They don't think about like, oh, we'll just have somebody else. It's like, yeah, when you get somebody as a backup, you're basically saying, hey, go through everything that you need to go through for a training camp and most likely not get any reward for it.
And at the very least, granted it is a 3-month span, but at the very least McGregor is fighting in January, mid-January. So yeah, he would still have to train for 3 months, but that's not as big of a gap as someone who's not training right now.
That's true, but you also have to think, what kind of a fight is he going to have against Cowboy? Is he going to get injured?
Yeah, that's
Is he going to take a lot of damage? Is he going to fuck up his foot, or we don't know.
We don't know.
The weight class thing, I don't think is going to be such a problem. He's fighting at 170, which he's fought at before, and he fights at 155 mostly. So, he's only fought 3. This will be his 3rd fight at 170. Yeah. But cutting down to 155, especially when he used to make 145, as long as he does things the way he's been doing them, I don't think he'll have an issue with that. I can see the whole thing about him not having fought Cowboy already and then promising him the shot and all that. But this is also one of those things where they act like they signed a contract saying it, which I don't think they did. Because I don't think that they're going to sign a contract with so many stipulations and things up in the air.
I don't know about that either way, but even if they didn't, they made a public announcement of it. It's as good as a contract.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. They make public announcements for fights all the time that never happen. They do. They say, oh, so-and-so is definitely going to get the next title shot, and then he doesn't.
Okay.
It's like, so-and-so is going to get the next title shot versus, Kamaru Usman. And then Jorge Masvidal becomes the biggest star in the world. And they're like, hold your horses, Ian Edwards. Sit the fuck down. We're going to go with this guy. If you have seen or were around and followed the sport as closely as like a hardcore fan does, you'd know that words are just words until it's written in paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that highlights for me, and I'm not necessarily talking about this fight in particular, and I respect the idea that UFC at the end of the day is a business.
Okay.
Right? But this goes back to something we talked about a long time ago, with how the standings really don't mean anything.
Yeah.
They do, and then they don't.
Yeah.
I wish it would be more of a sport, more of something, and I don't know how you would structure it, because there is no good way to structure it that I can think of off the top of my head. So, just so I can play this out in my head as I'm thinking about it. Because say a champion beats the 1st seed guy. All right, then the 1st seed guy fights the 2nd seed guy. Well, if he wins that, what are you going to do? Make the champion fight the same guy over again?
That's what I mean.
You can't do that. That's a problem. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't like that it just feels willy-nilly. It just feels like they're throwing out whoever just for the sake of making sales, which I get, business, but I want more.
Consistency.
I want more consistency.
Yeah, there is also something to be said about the rankings too sometimes, where you look at somebody how is he only ranked 20th? Or how is that guy ranked 6th?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that sometimes. But
that's what bothered me with this, because I feel like that they're just, and McGregor's still ranked really high, right?
Yeah.
I think but that's the other thing. He hasn't fought in 3 years. How?
Yeah, but
I'm not knocking his past. Sorry.
No.
How?
The thing is why I agree and disagree with, we can't, and especially in MMA, you cannot just go by win-loss records. You can't.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then you fuck up everyone's numbers. Everyone's numbers get fucked up. And there's also a thing where if somebody gets beaten by somebody, it's how'd they get beat by him? If 2 guys have a razor-close fight.
That shouldn't matter.
Like Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
That was a razor-close fight, and Colby fought with a broken jaw, and it lasted the 5th round. It ended in a knockout. On paper, Colby should probably fall a couple spots. When you see that fight, you're like, Colby Covington is the 2nd best fighter in the world, and he should remain the #1 contender. right?
Yeah, I could see that.
So, like, if you look at it from a performance-based standpoint.
Yeah.
There is also the other thing, too, where I think that part of what makes this sport good is that you can make these matchups where you're like, we're going to put this guy versus this guy, because we've seen in sports in times where your record doesn't necessarily mean you can't beat the best. Like, even in football, when the Giants played the Patriots those 2 years.
Yeah.
They had not even close to the same record as the Patriots. But they won.
The Patriots 1 year were undefeated.
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 And the Giants, who were like, what? 8 and 6?
This was literally like 10 years ago.
Yeah, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so there's things that can happen in sports. And the MMA and UFC allows for those Cinderella-type moments to happen, which is some of the greatest moments in the sport's history.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because sometimes you let the underdog come in, it's so shocking that he won, or just get a great fight out of it, whatever. But I think there's also something to be said for if you have a guy who's the number one contender, and this is just a totally made-up scenario, and then you have a guy who's number 3 contender.
Yeah.
So number 1 is good. Number 2 guy is injured, so he's been out, so the number 3 guy. So they go up to the guy and they say, okay, so-and-so is the champ. He's ready to fight, but we need to fill the card in 3 months. We need you to 3 months. And he's like, oh, I can't fight in 3 months. 3 months ain't good for me. I need at least 5. And they're like, well, we're putting it on in 3 months. Like, he hasn't defended his belt. He's injured, but he's coming back, and this is when the fight is. And he's like, no, I need 3 months. And then they go ask the third-ranked guy. They said, can you make it in 3 months? And he's like, I'll make it tomorrow. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, there is. That's fair.
And there's something to be said for, if they went down the list of people to fight Khabib and they said, hey, listen, if Tony gets injured Friday night, can you be ready Saturday night for the fight? And they're like, geez, I don't know. Like, I need a whole camp to prepare for that guy. And Conor's just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, but I 1,000% see your point, but I don't think that they went down that list.
But you don't know.
I don't know. Pure speculation, but not one guy is going to say, yes, I'll take that fight.
Well, to be fair, dude,
I know Khabib is a scary
he's not scary like, oh, I'm a brawler, I'm going to knock you out. He's scary where if you don't particularly train for him, you will not win.
Yeah.
And it's like those guys are like, all right, I need to literally train for Khabib, or my percentage of winning, because nobody's caught him with a lucky shot yet. Not to say it can't happen, but
anything can happen.
Nobody wants to take that fight on a short notice.
Agreed. Even
if it means you get a title shot. Now, I think they should probably take it no matter what, just because you get your name out there. But then again, the problem with that, and look at it this way, title shots are few and far between. If you're an up-and-coming fighter and you're on your trajectory up, you have 2 choices to make, both of which are open for discussion whether they're right or wrong.
Yeah.
You and your coaches think that, like, all right, maybe like 3 more fights and I can start, maybe next fight be a title shot or whatever, and then they come up to you and said, listen, you got a big name kid, we had an injury, you're going in there. And you're like, fuck. And in your head, you're like, I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready. Well, I wanted 3 more fights before I was looking at a title shot, because you hear guys say that sometimes.
Yeah.
So you go in there, you get a title shot, and you lose. Whether you lose embarrassingly, you have a decent fight. The only time it works out probably is if you have a really, really close fight. But then that means, all right, you just had a title fight. Doesn't matter we gave it to you on short notice. You had a title fight, which means you're looking at least a couple more fights before you go back to it.
Which in this league is years.
Yeah. Then if you lose one, it's like the whole trajectory of your career could be decided because you were pushed too early.
Yep.
And then you had a title fight. Now guess what? You ain't getting any more easy fights because you just had a title fight. Now you got a big name. Now you don't get any easy fights. So if you were still in that, like, trying to find my rhythm mode, guess what? You're fucking main eventer now. So you need to fucking step up. And that is a real thing. We've seen it in the past where guys get pushed too early.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I have very, very...
I see your point.
Yeah, I have very mixed emotions of it. I see your points, all your points too. It's just that
it doesn't sit well.
It doesn't sit well. I'm a little jaded. I feel like that they're not doing this from a sports angle. I feel like they're doing it from a sales angle.
Yes.
Well, that's not... because everything that you talk about and you describe is from a sports angle. You get excited for the fighters, you get excited for the up and comers, you get excited for these random, not no names, but these lower names that get like those awesome fights. You talk about the risks for the fighters and all that, and I think the UFC is seeing this as, we can put McGregor's name on this, or who's the best guy that can sell this ticket, yada 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 yada. So I 100% see where you're coming from, but I don't know. I've very mixed feelings about the whole thing. Either way, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Either way, I hope it's all kind of a moot point.
Yeah, I hope nobody gets injured.
Knock on wood. Once again, hopefully Tony Ferguson is going to be A-okay, and we're going to see some real shit go down.
This is an interesting point, and I want you to think about this for a second. Okay? Part of what sells a fight, and if you kind of go back in history, it makes sense. Part of what sells a fight is that no matter who's fighting who, there's a prospect that the better guy can lose.
Yeah.
Right? You have to sell the fact that the champ might lose.
Yes.
There's been very few people who can sell the fight when most people know they won't lose, and it's just people want them to lose. Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather is one of those things where you knew that he was probably going to win the fight, but you paid to hope that he lost. At least half the people did, probably. Yeah. But it was so confident that millionaires would go to the casinos and bet $2 million that Floyd Mayweather would win a decision fight. And it would be like you'd get paid like $1, like $1 on every $10. But it was such a fucking like gimme.
It was a sure thing.
That they would do it. So part of what you have to do in a fight like that against a guy like Khabib, who is so difficult to figure out to begin with, let alone on short notice, you have to put somebody in there where people look at it and go, this guy has a possibility to win.
Yeah,
he could win. And for the most part, like you could put Cowboy in there because like Cowboy is just as good a striker as Conor. He could do this, that, and the other thing. Yes, but I don't think that people in their heart and soul believe that Cowboy could keep Khabib from taking him down, and is athletic. You know what I mean? Like there's just some things on there where the Conor McGregor thing where you're like, who has a better shot at catching Khabib?
On that note, real quick, has Cowboy fought at 155 before?
Yeah.
Okay. So these were things I didn't know, and you were asking me the other day, who do you think would be in place of McGregor? And I was like, well, he hasn't fought Cowboy yet. Cowboy will fight anyone he wants to.
That's true.
I see your point, though.
But you have to, like, when Mike Tyson would fight, people watched Mike Tyson fight because he was such an anomaly. But they watched him fight to watch him knock motherfuckers out.
Yeah.
And to hope maybe somebody was going to catch him. But there was no illusion that he was going to lose some of those fights. What you have to do is bring this fear or this excitement of, like, this guy might be able to do it. And the UFC does a really good job at normally when they sell fights against guys with John Jones and stuff like that. They bring up these guys and they're like, there's a chance. And you're like, maybe there is a chance. Maybe there is a chance that someone's going to beat him. And then you watch it and you're like, how fucking stupid am I? How fucking stupid am I to think that this could win?
I got fooled again.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my points. I see your point more than I did when I was watching it, just because I knew that there was so much stuff that you weren't considering, because why would you consider that?
See, this is why I was getting really angry at you, because we were doing this through a texting thing.
Yeah.
And you were like telling me basic concept. I'm like, I know that's not my point. I was getting legitimately angry at you because you're like, no, see, you don't understand. When they think about this behind, I'm like, no.
Did you really think of every one of the ones I brought up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then you did the who. And I was like, this motherfucker, get out of my house.
But then when you didn't, I knew that you were getting pissed, and when you didn't respond, and I said, Tim types in Google.
And I was on Google.
I know you were.
Because, all right.
Because you couldn't think of someone.
Because I don't know everyone who's at 155 pounds. I don't know everyone who's competed at 155 pounds. I've been a fan of the sport for a hot 30 seconds, and you want me to come up with who the best possible alternative to McGregor is to fight Khabib? I can't do that.
No, that's it.
Fuck you. I'm mad all over again. Not really.
That's impressive that you thought of all that stuff, though, because I would like most people who aren't like obsessed with like the UFC or anything. They don't think about those things.
Yeah.
Because that's almost not that's like the promotion side of it. It's not the spectacle. It's not the fight side. It's shit behind the scenes that it's like pulling back the curtain. Most people just like, give me my popcorn. I want to watch the movie. I don't care how you got it up there. I just want to watch the movie.
You know what? If I hadn't been part of BDP for the past 8 months, however long we've been doing this, I probably wouldn't have thought about that aspect too. But we have been so divulged into UFC at this point that I'm looking at UFC as a business because we have to.
That's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
That's why that curtain has kind of been drawn back because we know when the commentators are talking about things, what they're talking about, why they're talking about it. We can follow along with all the hot topics, and like it's not just rhetoric for us at this point. I don't know all the names. I can't pronounce anybody's names because half the people are from Russia and shit, and I just don't remember names at all.
You're very good with names. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm fantastic, Andy.
You're a linguist, speech therapist.
I can barely speak English on the podcast. What the fuck are we talking about? But yeah, so there's all that. Again, let's hope this is all meaningless and Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, let's hope that is not going to happen because we're doing the breakdown for that next week. No,
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, we're going to be doing the breakdown of Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. And
just do the Team America World, please.
I didn't. It sounded like it. I swear to God, I didn't. And we're being flagged. I do know he's Russian.
Okay.
Let us know what you think about McGregor being the backup for this fight in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also go visit brodownpro.com for all of our awesome shit. Let us know what kind of assholes we are also in the comments down below because we're pretty much flaming assholes, both of us. Mostly me. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
All right, bye.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking